Hi, boys and girls. Miss Jodi here. I'm in the church today. I am sitting in the chair where Father Caleb usually sits. Shh, don't tell him. No, it's really okay. Nobody else in here. Well, a couple of people working. But I thought today we would share a wonderful story, one of my favorite Christmas stories. Actually, I think last year on Christmas Eve, Father Michael told us this story in the church service. And then he gave us all candy canes. The name of the story is The Legend of the Candy Cane, the inspirational story of our favorite Christmas candy. It's by Lori Wahlberg, illustrated by Richard Cowdery. And it's a wonderful story of how the candy cane represents our Christian life. I hope you enjoy it. One dreary evening, in the depths of November, a stranger rode into town. He stopped his horse in front of a lonely storefront. The windows were boarded shut, and the door was locked fast. But the man looked at it, smiled, and said, "It will do." All through the short gray days and the long, dark nights of November, the man worked. The townspeople could hear the faint pam, pam, pam of his hammer and the snish, snish, snish of his saw. They could smell the sweet, clean scent of new lumber and the deep, oily smell of the new paint. But no one knew who the man was or what he was doing. The mayor hoped the man was a doctor to heal his illness. The young wives hoped he was a tailor to make beautiful dresses. The farmers hoped he was a trader to exchange their grain for goods. But the children had the strongest, deepest wish of all, a wish they did not tell their parents, a deep, quiet, secret wish that none of them said out loud. No one spoke to the man. No one asked if he needed help. They just waited and watched and wondered and wished. But one small girl watched and wondered and waited and wished longer than she could stand. And one snowy day, she knocked at the stranger's door. "Hello," she said. "My name is Lucy. Do you need some help?" And the man smiled warmly and nodded. Then he opened the door and Lucy stepped inside. A long counter ran down the side of the room. Bare shelves filled the opposite walls. In the back were dozens and dozens of barrels and crates. "Could you help me unpack?" the man asked. Lucy's heart sank at the sight of all the boxes. What if they were all only barrels of nails and bags of flour? But she removed her dripping boots and hung her coat on the peg. On stocking feet, she crossed through the wooden floor and knelt beside the crate. "Please open it," the man urged. Slowly, Lucy put her hand inside the box and pulled out an object wrapped in tissue. Round and heavy, it almost slipped through her fingers. Lucy trembled a little as she unwrapped it. It was a glass jar. Lucy gave the man a puzzled look. "Go on," and he said. She unpacked another glass jar and another until she was completely surrounded by glass jars of all shapes and sizes, tall and thin, round and squatty, jars with lids and jars without. "Now," the man said, "for something to put inside." He pulled over a huge crate stamped with a strange word. Confections. As Lucy unpacked, her eyes lit up. It was candy, her favorite candy, gumdrops. "Try some," said the man. She popped one into her mouth, and now she could hardly unwrap fast enough. Peppermint sticks, taffy, lollipops, chewing gum. Wide-eyed, she looked at the man. "We wished," Lucy said. "Yes, I know," said the man, "and here it is. Welcome to Sonneman's Candy Store. I am John Sonneman." Soon, the small store was filled with candies gleaming in their glass jars, raspberry suckers and tiny lemon drops, brightly colored jawbreakers and long tangles of licorice, pink and white peppermints for church, and butterscotch balls for company. And then, in the very last package, in the very last crate, was a candy Lucy had never seen before, a red and white striped candy stick with a crook on the end. "What is this?" she asked. "This," Mr. Sonneman explained, "is a candy cane." It is a very special Christmas candy. Why? Lucy asked. Tell me, Mr. Sonneman said. What does this letter look like? Lucy took the candy cane and turned it in her hand. J, she said. Yes, Mr. Sonneman smiled. J for Jesus, who was born on Christmas Day. Now turn it over. What does that remind you of? Lucy turned the candy in her hand. She peered down intently. I know, she said. It's like a shepherd's staff. Who were the first to find out about Jesus' birth? Mr. Sonneman asked. Shepherds in the field, Lucy answered, watching over their flocks by night. But Mr. Sonneman, what are the stripes for? Lucy asked. The man's eyes grew sad. The prophet Isaiah said, by his stripes we are healed. Before he died on the cross, Jesus was whipped and he bled. And the red reminds us of his suffering and his blood. But then Mr. Sonneman continued, the candy is white as well. When we give our lives to Jesus, his blood washes away all our sins, making us white and pure as snow. That, he said, is the story of the candy cane. Is it a secret? Lucy asked. Mr. Sonneman looked at her for a long time. It's a story that needs to be told, he said. Will you help me share it? It was now in the depths of December, and the town was whipped around by a blizzard, by winds. For days the sun hid itself and did not shine. But every morning, Mr. Sonneman and Lucy ventured out. They wore their heavy woolen coats and bright hand-knit scarves. And in their stiff mittened fingers, they each held a bag. They went to every house in town. They traveled to every farm in the country. They knocked on every door in every home, and they told the story, and they left a small gift, and they gave an invitation. On the afternoon of Christmas Eve, the sun finally broke through the clouds, and Sonneman's candy store officially opened. The mayor came, feeling better than he'd felt in days. The young wives came, dressed in beautiful smiles. The farmers came, eager to trade grain for Christmas gifts, and the children ran in dizzy circles. Yes, their wish had come true. Yes, they had come to share in the opening of the candy store. But they shared in something more, something bigger, something better. On that Christmas Eve, they shared the story of the candy cane. They told the miracle of Christ's birth, the misery of his death, and the mercy of his love. Well, that was a great book. Look what's on the back. Picture of a candy cane, and I just had to go get one of my own. It's so good. This is a Bob's candy cane. They're the best. This is such a great book. And you know what? It reminds me of a Christmas carol. The third verse of Hark the Herald Angels Sing, mild he lays his glory by, born that we no more may die, born to raise us from the earth, born to give us second birth. I love how this author brings together the birth of the baby Jesus and the death of the man Jesus, and makes it one big full circle while we eat our delicious candy cane. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. Oh, Christmas is next week. Merry Christmas early. I'll see you. Bye-bye.